Hello, students, and welcome back to Term 2. Today, in groups, we're going to spend some time talking about task groups and the foundation methods for task groups. So, what you will realize and recognize often and early in your career in agencies, large or small, that the reality and the likelihood of you being involved in a task group is very high. And so there needs to be some understanding about how they actually work. So today we're going to spend some time talking about those foundation methods that you need to be familiar with as you move forward. And you'll see some of these, and some of you will actually have a chance to participate in task groups as a part of your field assignment. So with no further ado, let's move to our discussion for the day. We're going to spend some time talking about all of these things that are here. We're going to spend some time looking at preparation, information sharing, developing information, conflict, effective decision making, understanding some of the political ramifications, as well as involvement and commitment, and monitoring, evaluation, and problem solving. Coming to your meetings prepared is going to be crucial in terms of working with and starting on time, making sure that you have agendas, handouts, and that you're sharing information so that everyone has a real clear understanding about what the issue and what the actual goal is. So making sure that the new people who were introduced in the room are acknowledged, recognizing also that if there are minutes from previous meetings that you need to be able to share those with folks to keep people up to speed, that you want to, as a leader of the group, model the behavior that you're expecting from your members. So respect, integrity, responsibility, and paying attention to how others are feeling. And making sure that you pace the meeting in such a way that you have enough time to accomplish all of the agenda items that have been kind of laid out for you. So again, those are things that you want to make sure that the agenda has a nice outline, and make sure that you're starting on time and that you're ending on time. These are all very important aspects of information sharing, and recognizing that these particular task groups will take the form of teams, committees, delegations, councils, boards, and everyone will have their own expertise that they'll bring to the table. And oftentimes in larger organizations, you will have members of those particular task groups that may have very little information about your area or what you do, but being able to collaborate and to work effectively across some of those things are also skill sets that you're going to need to utilize once you are actually working in this particular population. There's an advantage to actually the round robin procedure as opposed to just kind of an unstructured dialogue. And in larger organizations, sometimes Robert's Rules of Order can be a helpful way to really look at maintaining some structure when you are actually facilitating the task groups. The enhanced involvement and commitment, so making sure that regardless of where people are coming from and what they have to contribute, that they feel that they are a part of the group and that they are involved. And some ways to do that is to make sure that people have a specific assigned roles and tasks, inviting group members' input in the decision-making process of the group, as well as encouraging members to make decisions, participate in the decision-making process. In other words, we want to have equal buy-in from folks that are there, and this will enhance the level of involvement and commitment from the folks to help you get to your tasks that much sooner and that much more efficiently. Developing information, and it's really looking at what are some of those factors that inhibit ideas and creativity, as well as what can we do to develop the information and to move those pieces along as well. So a lot of times you have to recognize that there are norms and social pressures for conformity that tend to limit the expression of new and creative ideas. So as much as you can, be aware that people may be not talking in the room for a number of reasons, but it's your job to look at coming up with facilitating a group process that renders the best product possible. So really moving people into that place where they can share creatively. And then also sometimes to watch out that groups can sometimes prematurely reach solutions without considering all the evidence. Sometimes folks are pressured and are on timelines and deadlines, and so they're looking at how can I get in, how can I get out, and so they won't give it the full free throw of looking at the information. So really making sure that you develop it in such a way that it keeps people engaged and moving forward. Another aspect of task group work is that dealing with conflict, which is inevitable. And so if you think about 15, 20 people in a group from all across a large agency from different walks and different experiences, and trying to come to a common solution, a conflict is almost inevitable. So being aware that that's a norm, and being able to handle the conflict. So really being able to construct and let people know that conflict can be helpful, and it's a natural part of group development. Helping the members recognize it, as well as encouraging group norms of openness and respect to other people's viewpoints are going to take you a long way as well. So there are a number of different things that you can utilize and that you can read upon in the text in Chapter 11 that really help gives you some better ideas about different ways that you can actually resolve conflict. Having a planned, orderly agenda, being sensitive to folks' concerns, you as the leader being neutral, are all things that you can do to actually make sure this process runs smoothly. Effective decision making. As a group leader, you're going to be put in that position to actually help the group get to a place where you're actively looking at how they're going to do things in a much more effective way. Part of that is being able to recognize and identify and deal with the whole group think notion. Again, when folks are pressured for time and really want to resolve things quickly, sometimes they don't consider all the information or all the evidence in front of them. And then also looking at solving those issues that might be coming up for specific individuals that are in the group. So again, in the text, there are a number of different suggestions that you can take a look at. And also looking at some of the advantages and the strengths that you have in terms of the variety of opinions and knowledge that can be offered by members. And then censor some of the controversial stuff that might be actually there as well too. So again, in your readings, you can find more information about what happens under those circumstances. The other thing that you have to recognize in organizations is that there tends to typically be a political flow that is kind of at the root of things. So sometimes the very reason that task groups are formed are out of politics, and I'll give you some examples. So if you're working at, say, a larger agency and you get your mandates from the state, and they get their mandates from the feds, and you're given a new bulletin or new set of marching orders about how a procedure is done, then clearly there's some political ramifications there. You may have workers and yourself or other folks who are involved who may not see the need to change the process, or maybe even see the inefficiencies in what's being suggested. But the reality of the situation is that the marching orders are coming from top, so there's a political piece that's tied to that. So it's about how do you then maneuver in that particular environment to make sure that you have an outcome that's going to actually be satisfactory to those who you have to report to. So again, making sure that you understand that sometimes the setting, who's in the room, what the agenda is, the organizational position of people in the room, and making sure that you pay attention to and explore some of the minority opinions are going to be things that you can do to really look at being effective from a political standpoint as you're moving through those groups. Finally, we're at looking at monitoring and evaluation and problem solving. And so, again, looking at the entire process through recognizing that, as you're moving forward, as you're setting time frames, as you're setting goals, to make sure that you're evaluating those processes as they're going along. Are there things you could do more of, less of, differently? And getting that feedback from the members of the group is going to be crucial in terms of how you move forward and how soon you get to your outcomes with the desires that you want. And problems inevitably will arise, so it's about really looking at the steps around how you identify the problem, developing what goals, what kind of data you're going to collect, developing a plan, and then selecting the best plan based on all the information that you have in terms of how you move forward in terms of moving to resolve that particular problem situation. So this is the end of our video lecture as it relates to task groups and foundation methods. And so, as always, we would encourage you to read the text, and to come to class prepared to participate fully, and to ask questions about what might be happening as what needs to happen when you find yourself in a position where you'll be running a task group. Thank you for your time and